Now, if you have a
CVA
patient
patient.
with hemiplegia, flaccid, can I get them inside lying and work their scapula from day one?
No.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why can't I? I can do some pelvic work and I can do some what? Some scapular work. Why can't you do that? I would tell you that even if they have plasticity, put them inside lying. Their shoulder will move. Gravity's eliminated. Sit them up. It's hard to move against gravity, right? Gravity's pushing them down. It's hard to elevate. Put them inside lying. Gravity's eliminated. They can move. And you should get them moving as soon as possible. Okay? So now we have our CVA patient, and what I have found is this is not 100% of the time. Usually the patient, so if the patient is in that flexor synergy, right? The flexor synergy is like this, okay? So if they're in a flexor synergy, then what I will work on first is I'm going to work on the D1 what? Extension. I'm going to work on the extension because working on the extension is working the opposite of every what? Flexor synergy muscle. Okay? So if the patient has a flexor synergy, so when I tell the patient to grab something, the patient goes up like this. That's all of the flexor synergy, right? Well, guess what I'm going to work? All of the muscles simultaneously that work opposite of the what? Of the synergy. And that's why PNF is cool in that fashion. So I do a lot. I do NDT, I do mirror therapy, I do PNF. I'm doing a bunch of stuff all together. I'm not just doing one thing. Okay? I might be doing muscle stim for these shoulder sublux. You're just gonna, with neurological patient, you're just gonna throw the kitchen sink at them, right? That's what I do. And go with what's starting to work. Okay, so what you would like to do is, the first thing is that this is the diagonal. So the first thing I'm going to do is what? And teach the patient the what? The diagonal. Okay? So this is pronation, elbow extension, this is extension, supination, wrist flexion, finger flexion, elbow flexion. This is the diagonal right here. So the first thing I'm going to do is teach the what? The diagonal. Okay? And then I'm going to say, okay, push out for me. Push out, push out, push out, push out, push out, push out. Relax. And I bring it back up again. Push out, push out, push out, push out, push out. Relax. And I'm going to bring it back up. Where have I seen this before? Push out, push out, push out. Isn't this the same thing we did on the scapula?
Yeah.
I'm still doing what? What am I doing? I'm still doing initiation, right? I did passive first. And now I'm doing what? As she goes out here, what type of resistance am I giving her? Concentric. Concentric helps with active range of motion in the direction that the patient wants. Also, being that she's supine, being that we have the tonic labyrinth, I'm going to get more extension in supine position anyway. So I'm taking advantage of the natural extensor tone, and I'm working on the D2, D1 what? D1 extension. Okay, does that make sense? I'm going to bring her back, and now push out, push out, push out, push out. Now, where am I giving resistance? Well, that's a great question. Okay? Your hand position can change depending on what you want to work on. So let's say, for example, I'm here, right? I have a choice. If I put my hand here, when we come out, I'm working shoulder what? Extension. Perhaps I feel that elbow extension is what? Needs more. So I might put my hand here. Now push out. Now I'm doing wrist, open your hand, finger, and by having my arm here, I'm doing what? Elbow extension. If I want more shoulder extension, I put my hand here. Go. Push out, push out, push out, push out, push out. Does that make sense? It depends on where you want, where you feel the patient needs better range. Okay? I'll give you a classic example. I have a client who, when she's coming up this way, right? So when she's coming into D1, right? So what she tends to do this, and then she does a little bit of the elbow. So I want a little bit more elbow. So what I do now is I put my hand here, and now when touch your ear. Good. What I do is I make sure that I do what? I give a resistance in the elbow flexor, and I kick in the elbow flexor first, and then I get the shoulder. Does that make sense? Because she was doing more like this. And I wanted to get her to bend that elbow. So instead of me giving her resistance here, I give her resistance here first, and now I'm getting elbow flexion. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So this arm, your hand placement is going to depend on whether I want more shoulder or elbow, or possibly even forearm if you want to go there. Does that make sense?
Wait, for elbow flexion, you putting it here?
Right. When I'm in this position here, right? If I want elbow flexion, move up towards your ear. Good. I'm going to give her resistance here as I come up. Okay? I'm holding her back here. If I wanted more shoulder, come up. Now I got more shoulder. I'm still getting elbow. You felt the difference there, right? Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? You try it. You'll get more resistance. Here I'm getting more resistance on shoulder. Okay, here I'm getting more resistance on elbow. If I just do one-handed, I'm getting go up, up, up. I'm getting resistance everywhere, but just not targeted to a specific motion. Yes?
So is it
Push. I resist that wrist extension. Okay, sometimes I also resist finger extension, and it's kind of strange. If I do this, then sometimes I get these sticking out. Okay, and if I hold these down, then I'll get those pushing out. So I'll vary it. So because some of your patients, when they open their hand, sometimes these work good and these don't work that good. And vice versa. Sometimes what will happen is that these three fingers will open, but these two won't. So depending on what's going on, I'm going to vary it. I might do, if I want more of these, if these three fingers aren't opening, then I'm going to do this. So what I do is I hold down this and I'm going to get overflow into those fingers. Does that make sense? And the converse is true. If some patients open like this, for whatever reason, it's stroke. So they're open like this, and my pinky's not working. So then what I'll do is I'll come here and I'll hold these in and I'll leave that pinky free. So now when I give resistance, push up, 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 I'm going to get that pinky kicking in with the extension. Does that make sense? It's a little more advanced, but you'll figure it out. Just get the basics down. So the first thing I'll do is work the what?
motion?
I'm working all the extension. Okay? If I want to, I can work the flexion. If she has a flexor synergy, I don't want to make that flexor synergy what? Stronger, right? So I don't want to do it if she has a strong flexor synergy. However, what I will do is do dynamic reversals. Okay? So what I will do is go push out, push out, push out, push out, push out, change hands, in. Good, good, good. Out, 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 out. Good. Now, am I really worried about her getting a flexor synergy? No, because the flexor synergy means reduced reciprocal movement. Reciprocal movement means flexion extension. Can I do flexion extension, rapid alternating flexion extension? If I can do rapidly alternating flexion extension, I'm not in a flexor synergy. Flexor synergy goes like this, and then I can't bust out of it because I kicked in all the flexors. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So if I'm doing rapid alternating movement, even though I'm working into flexion, I'm really not worried about the flexor synergy because there's no way the patient's getting stuck in there because we're dynamically going back and forth between the two. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, I do quick stretch with these patients. So if I'm doing this, up, 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 so I might do a quick stretch. I can do a quick stretch up, up, up. I can do it to the elbow, or I can do it to the wrist. So I can do, if we're coming up, 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 I can do a quick stretch. Okay? Or I can do quick stretch to the elbow, come up, up, up. I might do a quick stretch to the elbow. Or I can hold her down a little bit more, up, up, up. And I'm going to do a quick stretch to the elbow. I do quick stretch on the upper limb because it gives you a little bit more. I don't do it in the scapula too much because I don't find that quick stretch gives you a bit as good as reaction in the limb as you do. So what I usually do is I start off by working the D1 because usually most patients can do it very easily. Okay? Once you can master D1 and they can do that, then I'll start working on what? D2. D2 is what? D2 is this direction, right? Yes? Right? I'll work this direction. And again, what I probably would start is a lot of your CVA patients are going to be able to move your arm in. Bring it down, go. Go, go, go. They can do this, no problem. They can come in no problem. All right? Just like they can come up, 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 up. They usually have no problem coming up because that's, part of the flexor. So usually I do the opposite, right? I want to get them to lift their arm. So usually instead of starting here with them, up, yeah, because this is very easy for them, I'm going to start where? Here, move up, up, up. You see that? I'm moving into D2 extension, up, up, up. Relax. Does that make sense? So that's what I usually do. And to the point you can get them and you're just doing all type of diagonal works, both directions, scapula and upper limb. Okay? It's not rocket, believe me, it's not that difficult. Just get your hand placement down. So for D1, flexion, or going into extension, my hand is here. So I'm going to be going this way, okay? That's the extension. For flexion, this hand goes here, and I reverse my hands here. Now come in. Do you see that? And now come out. Does that make sense? The first thing is get your hand placement. Once you know where your hands are going, then you just get in line of the diagonal, and you move with it. What? I did this this time. You getting tired? Let's try just the D1 diagonal.